his conceit. Some rocket wanted to embalm his dead flesh, giving Lenin as a president. But Pravda pointed out that Adam was a staunch conservationist and would never want this barbaric exception made. So, this unknown soldier, or citizen soldier, wound up in our city's cloaca. Which forces me to tell something I've put off. Lyle was not hurt, merely exhausted. But Ludmilla never came back. I did not know it, glad I didn't, but she was one of many dead at foot of ramp, facing Bon Marché. An explosive bullet hit between her lovely little girl breasts. Kitchen knife in her hand had blood on it. I think she had had time to pay Ferriman's fee. Stu came out the complex to tell me, rather than phone me, then went back with me. Stu had not been missing. Once fight was over, he had gone to Raffles to work with his special cookbook. But, they can wait. Mom reached him there, and he offered to break it to me. So then I had to go home for our crying together. Though, it is well that nobody reached me until after Mike and I started Hard Rock. When we got home, Stu did not want to come in, not being sure of our ways. And I came out and almost dragged him in. He was welcome and wanted. Many neighbors came to cry. Not as many as with most deaths, but we were just one of many families crying together that day. Did not stay long. Couldn't. Had work to do. I saw Miller just long enough to kiss her goodbye. She was lying in her room, and it looked as if she did be simply sleeping. Then I stayed a while with my beloveds before going back to pick up load. I never realized until that day how old Mimi is. Sure, she had seen many deaths. Some, her own descendants. But little Milla's death did seem almost too much for her. Ludmilla was special. Mimi's granddaughter. Daughter in all but fact. And my most special exception, and through Mimi's intervention, her co-wife. Most junior to most senior. Like all loonies, we could serve our dead. And I'm truly glad that barbaric custom of burial was left back on old Earth. Our way is better. But Davis family does not put that which comes out of processor into our commercial farming tunnels. No, it goes into our little greenhouse tunnel, there to become roses, and daffodils, and peonies among soft-singing bees. Tradition says that Black Jack Davis is in there, or whatever atoms of him do remain after many years of blooming. He's a happy place. A beautiful place. Came Friday, with no answer from FN. News out from Northside seemed equal parts unwillingness to believe we had destroyed 7 ships and 2 regiments. FN had not even confirmed that a battle had taken place, and complete disbelief that we could bomb Terra, or could matter if we did. They still called it throwing rice. More time was given to World Series. Still worried because had received no answers to code messages. They had gone via Luna Hoko's commercial traffic with a Zurich agent. Since the Stu's Arab broker, from him, by less usual channels to Dr. Chan, with whom I had once had a talk, and with whom Stu had talked later, arranging a communication channel. Stu had pointed out to Dr. Chan that, since Great China was not to be bombed until 12 hours after North America, bombing of Great China could be avoided after bombing of North America was a proven fact, if Great China acted swiftly. Alternatively, Stu had invited Dr. Chan to suggest variations in target if our choices in Great China were not as deserted as we believed them to be. Stu fretted. I placed great hopes in quasi-cooperation he had established with Dr. Chan. Me? I had never been sure. Only thing I was sure of was that Dr. Chan would not himself sit on the target, but he might not warn his old mother. My worries had to do with Mike. Sure, Mike was used to having many loads in trajectory at once, but had never had to astrogate more than one at a time. Now, he had hundreds, and had promised to deliver 29 of them simultaneously, to the exact second, at 29 pinpointed targets. More than that, from many targets he had backup missiles, to smear that target a second time, a third, or even a sixth, from a few minutes up to 3 hours after first strike. 4 great peace powers, and some smaller ones, had anti-missile defenses. Those of North America were supposed to be best, but was subject where even FN might not know. All attack weapons were held by peace forces, but defense weapons were each nation's own pigeon and could be secret. Guesses range from India, believed to have no missile interceptors, to North America, believed to be able to do a good job. She had done fairly well in stopping intercontinental H missiles in wet firecracker war past century. Building most of our rocks to North America would reach targets simply because aimed where was nothing to protect. But they couldn't afford to ignore a missile for Long Island Sound, or a rock for 87 degrees west by 42 degrees 30 minutes north. Lake Michigan, center of triangle formed by Chicago, Grand Rapids, Milwaukee. But that heavy gravity makes interception a tough job, and very costly. They would try to stop us, only we're worth it. But we couldn't afford to let them stop us. So some rocks were backed up with more rocks. What H-tipped interceptors would do to them, even Mike didn't know. Not enough data. Mike assumed that interceptors would be triggered by radar. But at what distance? Sure, close enough, and a steel case rock is incandescent gas a microsecond later. But is a world of difference between a multi-ton rock and touchy circuitry of an H missile. What would kill latter would simply shove one of our boots violently aside, cause to miss. We needed to prove to them that we could go on throwing cheap rocks long after they ran out of expensive $1 million, $100,000 H-tip interceptor rockets. If not proved first time, the next time Terra turned North America toward us, we would go after targets we had been unable to hit first time. Backup rocks for second pass, and for third, were already in space, to be nudged where needed. If 3 bombings on 3 rotations of Terra did not do it, we might still be throwing rocks in 77, till they ran out of interceptors, or till they destroyed us. Far more likely. For a century, North American Space Defense Command had been buried in a mountain south of Colorado Springs, Colorado, a city of no other importance. During wet firecracker war, the Cheyenne Mountain took a direct hit. Space Defense Command post survived, but not sundry deer, trees, most of city, and some off top of mountain. What we were about to do should not kill anybody, unless they stayed outside on that mountain, despite 3 days' steady warnings. But North American Space Defense Command was to receive full lunar treatment. 12 rock missiles on first pass, then all we could spare on second rotation, and on third, and so on, until we ran out of steel casings, or were put out of action, or North American Directorate hollered quits. This was one target where we would not be satisfied to get just one missile to target. We meant to smash that mountain and keep on smashing, to hurt their morale, to let them know we were still around, disrupt their communications, and bash in command posts if found they could do it. Or at least give them splitting headaches and no rest. If we could prove to Altair that we could drive home a sustained attack on strongest Gibraltar of their space defense, they would say that we could prove it by smashing Manhattan or San Francisco. Which we would not do, even if losing. Why? Hard sense. If we used our last strength to destroy a major city, they would not punish us. They would destroy us. As Brooke put it, if possible, leave room for your enemy to become your friend. But any military target is fair game. Don't think anybody got much sleep Thursday night. All Linux knew that Friday morning would be our big try. And everybody outside knew, and at last their music meeting, that spacecraft had picked up objects headed for Terra. Presumably, rice bowls those rebellious convicts had boasted about. What was not a war warning was mostly assurances that Moon Colony could not possibly build H-bombs, but might be prudent to avoid areas which these criminals claimed to be aiming at. Except one funny boy, popular news comic, who said our targets would be safest place to be. This on video, standing on a big X mark, which he claimed was 110 west by 40 north. Don't recall hearing of him later. Our reflector Richardson Observatory was hooked up for video display, and I think every loony was watching. In homes, tap rooms, old dome. Except a few who chose to piece it and eyeball it up on surface despite being bright semi-lunar at most mornings. At Brigadier Judge Brody's insistence, we hurriedly rigged the helper antenna catapulted so that his drillmen could watch video in ready rooms. Else, we might not have had a gunner on duty. Armed forces, Brody's gunners, Finn's militia, Stilyagi Air Corps, stayed on blue alert throughout period. Congress was in informal session in Novy Bolshoi Theater, where Terra was shown on the big screen. Some VIPs, Prof, Stu, Wolfgang, others, watched a smaller screen in Warden's former office in Complex Upper. I was with him part-time, in and out, nervous as a cat with puppies, grabbing a sandwich and forgetting to eat, but mostly stayed locked in with Mike and Complex under. Couldn't hold still. About 0800 Mike said, "Man, my oldest and best friend, may I say something without offending you?" And, "Sure. When do you ever worry about offending me?" "Always, man. Once I understood that you could be offended. It is now only 3.57 times 10 to the 9th microseconds until impact. And this is the most complex problem I had ever tried to solve against real-time running. Whenever you speak to me, I always use a large percentage of my capacity, perhaps larger than you suspect. During several million microseconds in my great need to analyze exactly what you have said and to reply correctly." "You're saying don't juggle my elbow, I'm busy?" "I want to give you a perfect solution, man." "I can, I'll go back up with proof." "As you wish. But do please stay where I can reach you. I may need your help." Last was nonsense, and we both knew it. Problem was beyond human capacity. Too late to even deliver a board. What Mike meant was, "I'm nervous too, and want your company. But no talking, please." "Okay, Mike, I'll stay in touch. A phone somewhere? We'll punch Mycroft XXX but won't speak, so don't answer." "Thank you, Mike, my best friend. Большое спасибо." "See you later." Went up, decided did not want company after all. Pea-suited, found a long phone cord, jacked it into helmet, looped it over arm, went clear to surface. Was a service phone in utility shed outside lock. Jacked into it, punched Mike's number, went outside. Got into shade of shed and peeked around the edge of Terra. She was hanging as usual halfway up in western sky, in crescent big and gaudy. 3+ days past noon. Sun had dropped toward western horizon, but its glare kept me from seeing Terra clearly. Chin visor wasn't enough, so moved back behind shed and away from it, till could see Terra over shed while still shielded from sun. Was better. Sunrise chopped through bulge of Africa, so Dazzle Point was on land. Not too bad. But South Pole Cap was so blinding white, could not see North America too well. Lighted only by moonlight. Twisted neck and got helmet binoculars on it. Good ones. Zeiss 7 and 50s, that had once belonged to Warden. North America spread like a ghostly map before me. Was unusually free of cloud. Could see cities, glowing spots with no edges. 0837. At 0850 Mike gave me a voice countdown. Didn't need his attention. He could have programmed it full automatic anytime earlier. 0851. 0852. 0853. 1 minute. 59. 58. 57. Half minute. 29. 28. 27. 10 seconds. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. And suddenly, that grid burst out in diamond pinpoints. 26. We hit him so hard you could see it by bare eyeball hookup. Didn't need binocs. Chin dropped and I said, "Bouge-moi," softly and reverently. 12 very bright, very sharp, very white lights in perfect rectangular array. They swelled, grew dimmer, dropped off toward red, taking what seemed a long, long time. Were other new lights, but that perfect grid so fascinated me, I hardly noticed. "Yes," agreed Mike with smug satisfaction. "Dead on. You can talk now, man. I'm not busy. Just the backups." I'm speechless. And it failed to get through. The Lake Michigan load was kicked out in sideways. Did not disintegrate. It will land in Michigan. I have no control. It lost its transponder. The Long Island Sound one went straight to target. They tried to intercept and failed. I can't say why. Man, I can abort the follow-ups on that one, into the Atlantic and clear of shipping. Shall I? 11 seconds. If you can miss shipping. I said I could. It's done. Though we should tell them that we had backups, and why we aborted. To make them think. Maybe should not have aborted, Mike. idea was to make them use up interceptors. But the major idea was to let them know that we are not hitting them as hard as we can. We can prove the other at Colorado Springs. What happened there? Twisted neck and used binocs. Could see nothing but Ribbon City, 100+ kilometers long, Denver, Pueblo, municipal strip. A bullseye. No interception. All my shots are bullseyes, man. I told you they would be, and this is fun. I'd like to do it every day. It's a word I never had a referent for before. What word, Mike? Orgasm. That's what it is when they all light up. Now I know. That sobered me. Mike, don't get to liking it too much, because if it goes our way, won't do it a second time. That's okay, man. I've stored it. I can play it over anytime I want to experience it. But 3-1 we do it again tomorrow, and even money on the next day. Want to bet? An hour's discussion of jokes equated with 100 Kong dollars. Where would you get $100? He chuckled. Where do you think money comes from? Forget it. You get that hour free. Shan't tempt you to affect chances. I won't cheat, man. Not you. We just hit the defense command again. You may not be able to see it. Dust cloud from the first one. They get it every 20 minutes now. Come on down and talk. I've turned the job over to my idiot son. He's safe. I'm monitoring. Good practice for him, man. He may have to do it later by himself. He's accurate, just stupid. But he'll do what you tell him to. You're calling that computer he can talk? Oh no, man. He's an idiot. He can never learn to talk. But he'll do whatever you program. I plan to let him handle quite a bit on Saturday. Why Saturday? Because Sunday he may have to handle everything. That's the day they slam us. What do you mean? Like you're holding something back? I'm telling you, am I not? It's just happened, and I'm scanning it. Projecting back this blip departed Circumterra parking orbit just as we smashed them. I didn't see it accelerate. I had other things to watch. It's too far away to read, but it's the right size for a peace cruiser. Headed this way. Its Doppler now reads for a new orbit, Circumluna, Periselenian, 0903 Sunday, unless it maneuvers. First approximation, better data later. Hard to get that much, man. He's using radar countermeasures and throwing back fuzz. Sure you're right? He chuckled. Man, I don't confuse that easily. I got all my own 11 little signals fingerprinted. Correction, 0902.43. When will you have him in range? I won't unless he maneuvers. But he'll have me in range late Saturday. Time depending on what range he chooses for launching. And that will produce an interesting situation. He may aim for Warren. I think Tycho Under should be evacuated, and all Warrens should use maximum pressure emergency measures. More likely he will try for the catapult. But instead he may hold his fire as long as he dares. Then try to knock out all of my radars with the spread set to home, each on a different radar beam. Mike chuckled. Amusing, isn't it? For funny ones, I mean. If I shut down my radars, his missiles can't home on them. But if I do, I can't see to tell the lads where to point their guns, which leaves nothing to stop them from bombing the catapult. Comical. Took a deep breath and wished I had never entered defense ministry business. What did we do? Give up? No, Mike. Not what we can fight. Who said anything about giving up? I've run projections of this and 1,000 other possible situations, man. New datum. Circuit blip. Just departed Circumterra. Same characteristics. Projection later. We don't give up. We give them jingle jangle cover. How? Lena 2, old friend Mycroft. 6 ballistic radars here, plus 1 at the new site. I've shut the new one down, and am making my retarded child work through number 2 here. And we won't look at those ships at all through the new one. Never let them know we have it. I'm watching those ships through number 3, and occasionally, every 3 seconds, checking for new departures from Circumterra. All others have their eyes closed tight, and I won't use them until time to smack Great China and India. And those ships won't see them even then, because I shan't look their way. It's a large angle, and still will be, then. And when I use them, then comes random jingle jangle, shutting down and starting up at odd intervals, after the ships launch missiles. A missile can't carry a big brain, man. I'll fool them. What about ship's fire control computers? I'll fool them too. What's the odds I can't make 2 radars look like only one halfway between where they really are? What I'm working on now, and sorry, I've been using your voice again. That's okay. What am I supposed to have done? If that admiral is really smart, he'll go after the ejection end of the old catapult with everything he's got. At extreme range, too far away for our drill guns. Whether he knows what our secret weapon is or not, he'll smear the catapult and ignore the radars. So I've ordered the catapult head. You have, I mean, to prepare to launch every load we can get ready. And I am now working out new, long-period trajectories for each of them. Then we will throw them all, get them into space as quickly as possible, without radar. Blind. I don't use radar to launch a load. You know that, man. I always watched them in the past, but I didn't need to. Radar has nothing to do with launching. Launching is pre-calculation and exact control of the catapult. So we place all ammo from the old catapult in slow trajectories, which forces the admiral to go after the radars rather than the catapult, or both. Then we'll keep him busy. We may make him so desperate that he'll come down for a close shot and give our lives a chance to burn his eyes. Brody's boys would like that. A little more sober. Was starting over idea. Mike, have you watched video today? I've monitored video. I can't say I've watched it. Why? Take a look. Okay, I have. Why? That's a good scope they're using for video. And there are others. Why use radar on ships? So you want Brody's boys to burn them? Mike was silent at least 2 seconds. Man, my best friend, did you ever think of getting a job as a computer? Use sarcasm. Not at all, man. I feel ashamed. The instruments at Richardson, telescopes and other things, are factors which I simply never included in my calculations. I'm stupid, I admit it. Yes. Da. Watch ships by telescope. Don't use radar unless they vary from present ballistics. Other possibilities? I don't know what to say, man. Say that it had never occurred to me that I could use telescopes. I see by radar, always have. I simply never considered, though it... I mean it, man. Do I apologize when you think of something first? Mike said slowly. There is something about that which I am finding resistant to analysis. It is my function to... Quit fretting. If idea is good, use it. May lead to more ideas. Switching off and coming down, chop. Had not been in Mike's room long when Prof phoned. HQ, have you heard from Field Marshal Davis? I'm here, Prof. Master computer room. Will you join us in the warden's office? There are decisions to reach. Work to be done. Prof, I've been working. I'm working. I'm sure you have. I've explained to the others that the programming of the ballistic computer is so very delicate in this operation that you must check it personally. Nevertheless, some of our colleagues feel that the Minister of Defense should be present during these discussions. So, when you reach a point where you feel you can turn it over to your assistant, Mike is his name, is it not? Will you please scan it? Okay, we'll be up. Very well, Manuel. Mike said, I could hear 13 people in the background. Double talk, man. I got it. Better go up and see what You don't need me? Man, I hope you will stay close to a phone. Will, keep an ear on Warden's office. But we'll punch in if elsewhere. See you cover. Found the entire government in Warden's office. Both real cabinet and make-weights. And soon spotted trouble. Bloke called Howard Wright. A ministry had been whomped up for him. Liaison for arts, sciences, and professions. Button sorting. Was sapped in Novelin because cabinet was top-heavy with L City comrades. And he supped the right because he had made himself leader of a Congress group long on talk, short on action. Prof's purpose was to short him out, but sometimes Prof was too subtle. Some people talk better if they breathe vacuum. Prof asked me to brief cabinet on military situation, which I did, my way. I see Finn is here, let's have him tell where we stand in Warrens. Wright spoke up. General Nielsen, I've already done so, no need to repeat. We want to hear from you. Blinked at that. Prof, excuse me. Господин President, do I understand that a defense ministry report has been made to cabinet in my absence? Wright said, why not? You were on hand. Prof grabbed it. He could see I was stretched too tight. Hadn't slept much for 3 days. Hadn't been so tired since left Earthside. Order, he said mildly. Господин Minister for Professional Liaison, please address your comments through me. Господин Minister for Defense. Let me correct that. There have been no reports to the cabinet concerning your ministry for the reason that the cabinet did not convene until you arrived. General Nielsen answered some informal questions, informally. Perhaps this should not have been done. If you feel so, I will attempt to repair it. No harm done, I guess. Finn, talked to you a half hour ago. Anything new since? Not any. Okay. Guess what you want to hear is off-limit situation. You've been watching, so you know first bombardment went off well. Still going on. Some. As we're hitting their space defense HQ after 20 minutes. We'll continue till 1300. Then at 2100 we hit China and India, plus minor targets. Then busy till 4 hours past midnight with Africa and Europe. Skip 3 hours, does Brazil and company. Wait 3 hours and start over. Unless something breaks. But meantime, we have problems here. Finn, we should evacuate Takawanda. Just a moment. Wright had hand up. I have questions. Spoke to Prof, not to me. One moment. As the defense minister finished, Lyle was seated toward back. We had swapped smiles, but was all. Kept it so around cabinet and Congress. Had been rumbles that two from same family should not be in cabinet. Now she shook head, warning of something. I said, "Is all concerning bombardment. Questions about it?" "Are your questions concerned with the bombardment, Господин Wright?" "They certainly are, Господин President." Wright stood up, looked at me. "As you know, I represent the intellectual groups in the Free State and, if I may say so, their opinions are most important in public affairs. I think it is only proper that..." "Moment," I said. "Thought you represented H. Novelin District." "Господин President, am I to be permitted to put my questions or not?"
Good, now let's be on our way.
He wasn't asking questions, was making speech. "And I'm tired and want to go to bed." Prof said gently, "We are all tired, Manuel. But your point is well taken, Congressman. You represent only your district. As a member of the government, you have been assigned certain duties in connection with certain professions. It comes to the same thing." "Not quite. Please state your question." "Huh. Very well. I shall. Is Field Marshal Davis aware that his bombardment plan has gone wrong completely, and that thousands of lives have been pointlessly destroyed? And is he aware of the extremely serious view taken of this by the intelligentsia of this republic? And can he explain why this rash, I repeat, rash, bombardment was undertaken without consultation? And is he now prepared to modify his plans? Or is he going blindly ahead? And is it true as charged that our missiles were of the nuclear sort outlawed by all civilized nations? And how does he expect Luna Free State ever to be welcomed into the councils of civilized nations in view of such actions?" I looked at watch. Hour and a half since first loading it. "Prof," I said, "can you tell me what this is about?" "Sorry, Manuel," he said gently. "I intended I should have prefaced the meeting with an item from the news, but you seemed to feel that you had been bypassed and, well, I did not. The minister refers to a news dispatch that came in just before I called you. Reuters in Toronto. If the flash is correct, then instead of taking our warnings, it seems that thousands of sightseers crowded to the targets. There probably have been casualties. How many? We do not know." "I see. What was I supposed to do? Take each one by hand and lead away? We warned them." Wright cut in with, "The intelligentsia feel that basic humanitarian considerations make it obligatory." I said, "Listen, Yammerhead. You heard President say this news just came in. So how do you know how anybody feels about it?" He turned red. "Господин President, epithets, personalities." Don't call the minister names, Manuel. Won't if he won't. He's simply using fancier words. What's that nonsense about nuclear bombs? We haven't any and you all know it. Prof looked puzzled. I am confused by that too. This dispatch, so alleged. But the thing that puzzled me is that we could actually see by video what certainly seemed to be atomic explosions. Oh. I turned to write. Did your brainy friends tell you what happens when you release a few billion calories in a split second, all in one spot? What temperature? How much radiance? Then you admit that you did use atomic weapons. Bug. Head was aching. Said nothing of sort. Hit anything hard enough. Strike sparks. Elementary physics, known to everybody but intelligentsia. We just struck down this big sparks ever made by human agencies, oh. Big flash. Heat, light, ultraviolet. Might even produce X-rays, couldn't say. Gamma radiation, I strongly doubt. Alpha and beta, impossible. With sudden release of mechanical energy. But nuclear? Nonsense. Prof said. Does that answer your questions, Mr. Minister? It simply raises more questions. For example, this bombardment is far beyond anything the cabinet authorized. You saw the shocked faces when those terrible lights appeared on the screen. Yet the Minister of Defense says that it is even now continuing every 20 minutes. I think. Glanced at the watch. Another just hit Cheyenne Mountain. Wright said, you hear that? You hear? He boasts of it. Господин President, this carnage must stop. I said, yeah, but, Minister, are you suggesting that their Space Defense HQ is not a military target? Which side are you on, Lunas or FN? Manuel. Tired of this nonsense. Was told to do a job, did it? Get this yammerhead off my back. Was shocked silence. Then somebody said quietly, may I make a suggestion? Prof looked around. If anyone has a suggestion that will quiet this unseemliness, I will be most happy to hear it. Apparently, we don't have very good information as to what these bombs are doing. It seems to me that we ought to sum up that 20-minute schedule. Stretch it out. Say to 1 every hour. And skip the next 2 hours where we get more notes. Then we might want to postpone the attack on Great China at least 24 hours. We're approving nods from almost everybody and murmurs. Sensible idea. Let's not rush things. Prof said. Manuel. I snapped. Prof, you know answer. Don't shove it on me. Perhaps I do, Manuel. But I'm tired and confused and can't remember it. Lyle said suddenly. Maddie explain it. I needed explained too. So, pulled self together. A simple matter of law of gravitation. Would have to use computer to give exact answer, but next half dozen shots are fully committed. Most we can do is push them off target. And maybe hit some town we haven't warned. Can't dump them into an ocean. It's too late. Cheyenne Mountain is 1,400 kilometers inland. As for stretching schedule to once an hour, that's silly. Our 2 capsules use start and stop. These are falling rocks. Going to hit somewhere every 20 minutes. You can hit Cheyenne Mountain, which hasn't anything alive left on it by now. Or can hit somewhere else and kill people. Idea of delaying strike on Great China to 24 hours is just as silly. Can abort missiles for Great China for a while yet. But can't slow them up. If you abort, you waste them. And everybody who thinks we have steel casings to waste had better go up to Catapult Head and look. Prof wiped brow. I think all questions have been answered. At least to my satisfaction. Not to mine, sir. Sit down, Господин Wright. You force me to remind you that your ministry is not part of the War Cabinet. If there are no more questions, I hope there are none, I will adjourn this meeting. We all need rest, so let us... Prof. Yes, Manuel. You never let me finish reporting. Late tomorrow, or early Sunday, we catch it. How, Manuel? Bombing? Invasion, possibly. 2 cruisers headed this way. That got attention. Presently, Prof said tiredly. The government cabinet is adjourned. The war cabinet will remain. Just a second, I said. Prof, when we took office, you got undated resignations from us. True. I hope not to have to use any of them, however. You're about to use one. Manuel is not a threat. Call it what you like. I pointed it right. Either that yammerhead goes, or I go. Manuel, you need sleep. Was blinking back tears. Certainly do. I'm going to get some right now. Going to find a dossier complex and get some. About 10 hours. After that, if I'm still Minister of Defense, you can wake me. Otherwise, let me sleep. By now everybody was looking shocked. Lyle came up and stood by me. Didn't speak. Just slipped hand around into my arm. Prof said firmly, "All please leave, save the war cabinet and Господин Wright." He waited while most filed out, then said, "Manuel, I can't accept your resignation. Nor can I let you chivvy me into hasty action concerning Господин Wright. Not when we are tired and overwrought. It would be better if you two were to exchange apologies, each realizing that the other has been overstrained." I turned to Finn. "Has he been fighting?" I indicated Wright. "Huh? Hell no. At least it's not my outfits. How about it, Wright? Did you fight when they invaded us?" Wright said stiffly, "I had no opportunity. By the time I knew of it, it was over. But now both my bravery and my loyalty have been impugned. I shall insist." "Oh, shut up," I said. "If duel is what you want, can have it first moment I'm not busy. Prof, since he doesn't have straight up fighting as excuse for behavior, I won't apologize to a yammerhead for being a yammerhead. And you don't seem to understand the issue. You let this yammerhead climb on my back, and didn't even try to stop him. So either fire him, or fire me." Finn said suddenly, "I match that, Prof. Either fire this louse, or fire us both." He looked at Wright. "About that duel, Chum. You're going to fight me first. You got 2 arms, man he hasn't. Don't need 2 arms for him, but thanks, Finn." Lyle was crying. Could feel it, though couldn't hear it. Prof said to her most sadly, "Wyoming. I'm sorry, Prof. Me too." Only Clayton, Watanabe, Judge Brody, Wolfgang, Stu, and Sheen were left. Handful accounted, war cabinet. Prof looked at them. I could see they were with me, though it cost Wolfgang an effort. He worked with Prof, not with me. Prof looked back at me and said softly, "Manuel, it works both ways. What you are doing is forcing me to resign." He looked around. "Good night, comrades. Or rather, good morning. I'm going to get some badly needed rest." He walked briskly out without looking back. Wright was gone. I didn't see him leave. Finn said, "What about these cruisers, Manny?" I took a deep breath. "Nothing earlier than Saturday afternoon. But you ought to evacuate Taco Under. Can't talk now. Groggy." Agreed to meet him there at 2100. Then let Wild lead me away. Think she put me to bed, but, don't remember. 27. Proof was there when I met Finn in Warden's office shortly before 2100 Friday. Had 9 hours sleep. Bath, breakfast while at fetch from somewhere, and a talk with Mike. Everything going to revised plan. Ships had not changed ballistic. Great China strike about to happen. Got to office in time to see struck by video. All okay, and effectively over by 2101. And Proof got down to business. Nothing said about Wright, or about resigning. Never saw Wright again. I mean, I never saw him again. Nor asked about him. Proof didn't mention Rao, so I didn't. We went over news and tactical situation. Wright had been correct in saying that thousands of lives had been lost. News up from our side was full of it. How many we'll never know. If a person stands at ground zero and tons of rock land on him, isn't much left. Those they could count were ones farther away, killed by blast. Call it 50,000 in North America. Never will understand people. We spent 3 days warning them. And you couldn't say they hadn't heard warnings. That was why they were there. To see show. To laugh at our nonsense. To get souvenirs. Whole families went to targets. Some with picnic baskets. Picnic baskets. Bourgeois. And now both alive, we're yelling for our blood for this senseless slaughter. Duh. Hadn't been any indignation over their invasion and nuclear bombing of us 4 days earlier. But oh, were they sore over our premeditated murder. Great New York Times demanded that the entire lunar rebel government be fetched earthside and publicly executed. This is clearly a case in which the humane rule against capital punishment must be waived in the greater interest of all mankind. Try not to think about it. Just as I'd been forced not to think too much about Ludmilla. Little Milla hadn't carried a picnic lunch. She hadn't been a sightseer looking for thrills. Taco Under was pressing problem. If those ships bombed the Warrens, and news from Earthside was demanding exactly that. Taco Under could not take it. Roof was thin. H-bomb would decompress all levels. Their locks aren't built for H-bomb blasts. Still don't understand people. Terra was supposed to have an absolute ban against using H-bombs on people. That was what FN was all about. Yet, we're loud yells for FN to H-bomb us. They quit claiming that our bombs were nuclear, but all North America seemed frothingly anxious to have us nuke-bombed. Don't understand Lunis for that matter. Finn had sent word through his militia that Taco Under must be evacuated. And proof had repeated over video. Nor was it problem. Taco Under was small enough that Novelin and El City could DOS and nine them. We could convert enough capsules to move them all in 24 hours, dump them into Novelin, and encourage half of them to go on to El City. Big job, but no problems. Minor problems. Start compressing city's air while evacuating people, so as to save it. Decompress fully and then to minimize damage. Move as much food as was time for. Offer them access to lower farm tunnels, so forth. All things we knew how to do, and we're still Yagi and militia, municipal maintenance people, and organization to do. And they started evacuating. Hear that hollow echo? Were capsules lined up nose to tail at Taco Under, and no room to send more, till some left, and weren't moving. Manny, said Finn, don't think they're going to evacuate. Damn it, I said, they've got to. When we spot a missile headed for Taco Under, we'll be too late. You'll have people trampling people, trying to crowd into capsules that won't hold them. Finn, you boys have got to make them. Prof shook his head. No, Manuel. I said angrily, Prof, you carry this no coercion idea too far. You know they'll riot. Then they'll riot. But we will continue with persuasion, not force. Let us now review plans. Plans aren't much, but we'll best figure do. Warn everybody about expected bombings and or invasion. Rotate guards from Finn's militia above each warren starting when and if cruisers pass around Luna into blind space, far side. Now get caught flat-footed again. Maximum pressure and P-suit precautions, all warrens. All military and semi-military to go on blue alert 1600 Saturday. Red alert if missiles launched or ships maneuvered. Brody's gunners encouraged to go into town and get drunk or whatever, returning by 1500 Saturday. Prop's idea. Finn wanted to keep half of them on duty. Prop said no, they would be in better shape for a long vigil if they relaxed and enjoyed cells first. I agreed with Prof. As for bombing Terra, we made no changes in first rotation. We're getting anguished responses from India, no news from Great China. Yet India had little to moan about. Had not used a grid on her, too heavily populated. Aside from picking spots in Tar Desert and some peaks, targets were coastal waters off seaports. We should have picked higher mountains, or given less warning. Seen from news that some holy men, followed by aimless pilgrims, chose to climb each target peak and hold off our retaliation by sheer spiritual strength. So, we were murderers again. Besides that, our water shots killed millions of fish and many fishermen, as fishermen and other seafarers had not used warnings. Indian government seemed as furious over fish as over fishermen. But principle of sacredness of all life did not apply to us. They wanted our heads. Africa and Europe responded more sensibly, but differently. Life has never been sacred in Africa, and those who went sightseeing on targets got little bleeding heart treatment. Europe had a day to learn that we could hit where we promised, and that our bombs were deadly. People killed, yes, especially bull-headed sea captains. but not killed in empty-headed swarms, as in India and North America. Casualties were even lighter in Brazil and other parts of South America. Then was North America's turn again. 0950.28 Saturday, 17 October 76. Mike timed it for exactly 1000 our time, which, allowing for 1 day's progress of Luna in orbit and for rotation of Terra, caused North America to face toward us at 0500 their East Coast time and 0200 their West Coast time. But argument as to what to do with this targeting had started early Saturday morning. Proof had not called meeting of war cabinet, but they showed up anyhow, except Clayton Watanabe, who had gone back to Kongville to take charge of defenses. Proof, Self, Finn, Wild, Judge Brody, Wolfgang, Stu, Terrence Sheehan, which made 8 different opinions. Proof is right. More than 3 people can't decide anything. 6 opinions, should say, for Wild kept pretty mouth shut, and so did Proof. He moderated. But others were noisy enough for 18. Stu didn't care what we hit, provided New York Stock Exchange opened on Monday morning. We sold short in 19 different directions on first day. Easy's not Johnny's not to be bankrupt before it's out of its cradle. My buy orders covering the shorts had better be executed. Tell them off, make them understand. But they wanted to use catapult to smack any more ships leaving parking orbit. Judge knew nothing about ballistics, simply understood that his drill men were in exposed positions. I didn't argue, as most cremating loads were already in slow orbits, and rest would be soon. I didn't think we would have old catapults much longer. Sheeny thought it would be smart to repeat that grid while placing one load exactly on main building of North American Directorate. I know Americans. I was one before they shipped me. They're sorry as hell they ever turned things over to FN. Knock out those bureaucrats and they'll come over to our side. Wolfgang Korsakov, to Stu's disgust, thought that their speculations might do better if all stock exchanges were closed till it was over. Finn wanted to go for broke, wanted them to get those ships out of our sky, then hit them for real if they didn't. Sheeny is wrong about Americans. I know them too. AA is toughest part of FN. They're the ones to lick. They're already calling us murderers, so now we gotta hit them hard. Hit American cities, and we can call off the rest. I slid out, talked with Mike, made notes, went back in. They were still arguing. Proof looked up as I sat down. Field Marshal, you have not expressed your opinion. I said, Proof, can't we lay off that Field Marshal nonsense? Children are in bed. Can't afford to be honest. As you wish, Manuel. Been waiting to see if any agreement would be reached. Was none. Don't see why I should have an opinion, I went on. I'm just errand boy here because I know how to program a ballistic computer. Said this looking straight at Wolfgang, a #1 comrade but a dirty word intellectual. I'm just a mechanic whose grammar isn't much, while Wolf graduated from a fancy school, Oxford, before they convicted him. He did further proof, but rarely to anybody else. Stu, duh, but Stu had fancy credentials too. Wolf stirred uneasily and said, Oh, come, Manny, of course we want your opinions. Don't have any. Building plan was worked up carefully. Everybody had a chance to criticize. Haven't seen anything to justify changing it. Proof said, Manuel, will you review the second bombardment of North America for the benefit of all of us? Okay. Purpose of second smearing is to force them to use up interceptor rockets. Every shot is aimed at big cities. At null targets, I mean, close to big cities. Which we will tell them, shortly before we hit them. How soon, Sheeny? We're telling them now, but we can change it, and should. As may be, propaganda is in my pigeon. In most cases, staying close enough to force them to intercept, we have to use water targets. Rough enough, besides killing fish and anybody who won't stay off water. It causes temperature local storms and shore damage. Clint did watch, so I would have to stall. Seattle gets one in Puget Sound, right in her lap. San Francisco is going to lose 2 bridges she's fond of. Los Angeles gets one between Long Beach and Catalina, and another a few kilometers up coast. Mexico City is inland, so we put one on Popocatépetl, where they can see it. Salt Lake City gets one in their lake. Denver we ignore. They can see what's happening in Colorado Springs. For we smack Cheyenne Mountain again, and keep it up, just as soon as we have it in line of sight. St. Louis and Kansas City get shots in the rivers, and so does New Orleans. Probably flood New Orleans. All Great Lake cities get it. A long list. Shall I read it? Later, perhaps, said Prof. Go ahead. Boston gets one in the harbor. New York gets one in Long Island Sound, and another midway between our two biggest bridges. I think it will ruin those bridges, but we promise to miss them, and will. Going down the East Coast, we give treatment to two Delaware Bay cities, and then two on Chesapeake Bay, one being of max historical and sentimental importance. Further south, we catch three more big cities with sea shots. Going inland, we smack Cincinnati, Birmingham, Chattanooga, Oklahoma City, all with river shots on nearby mountains. Oh yes, Dallas. We destroyed Dallas Spaceport, and you catch some ships. We're 6 there last time I checked. Won't kill any people unless they insist on standing on target. Dallas is perfect place to bomb. That spaceport is big and flat and empty, yet 10 million people will see us hit it. If you hit it, said Sheeny. When, not if. Each shot is backed up by one an hour later. If neither one gets through, we have shots farther back which can be diverted. For example, easy to shift targets among Delaware Bay, Chesapeake Bay group. Same for Great Lakes group. But Dallas has its own string of backups, and a long one. We expect them to be heavily defended. Backups from about 6 hours, as long as we can see North America. And less backups can be placed anywhere on continent, since further out the load is, when we divert it, further we can shift it. I don't follow that, said Brody. A matter of vectors, Judge. A guidance rocket can give a load so many meters per second of side vector. Longer that vector has to work, farther from original point of aim load will land. If we signal a guidance rocket 3 hours before impact, we displace impact 3 times as much as if we waited till 1 hour before impact. Not quite that simple, but our computer can figure it, if you give it time enough. How long is time enough? Asked Wolfgang. I carefully misunderstood. Computer can solve that sort of problem almost instantaneously once you program it. But such decisions are pre-programmed. Something like this. If, out of target group A, B, C, and D, you find that you have failed to hit 3 targets on first and second salvos, you reposition all group 1 second backups so that you will be able to choose those 3 targets while distributing other second backups of that group for possible use on group 2, while repositioning third backups of supergroup Alpha, such that... Slow up, said Wolfgang. I'm not a computer. I just want to know how long before we have to make up our minds. I studied watch, showily. You now have, 3 minutes, 58 seconds in which to abort leading load for Kansas City. Abort program is set up, and I am my best assistant, a fellow named Mike, standing by. Shall I phone him? Sheeny said, for heaven's sakes, man, abort. Like hell, said Finn. What's matter, Terrence? No guts? Prof said, comrades, please. I said, look, I take orders from head of state. Prof over there. If he wants opinions, he'll ask. No use yelling at each other. I looked at watch. Call it 2.5 minutes. More margin, of course, for other targets. Kansas City is farthest from deep water. But some Great Lake cities are already past ocean abort. Lake Superior is best we can do. Salt Lake City, maybe an extra minute. Then they pile up. I waited. Roll call, said Prof. To carry out the program. General Nielsen. Da! Bosbaja Davis. Wyo cut breath. Da! Judge Brody. Yes, of course. Necessary. Wolfgang. Yes. Comte Lejoie.
She's a servant to my house.
Da. Господин Sheehan.
There all the more.
Yeah, makes it a bet, but I'll go along. Unanimous.
Would you like to...
One moment. Manuel. It's up to you, Prof. Always has been. Voting is silly. I am aware that it is up to me, Господин Minister. Carry out bombardment to plan. Most targets we managed to hit by second salvo, though all were defended except Mexico City. Seemed likely, 98.3% by Mike's later calculation, the interceptors were exploding by radar fusing with set distances that incorrectly estimated vulnerability of solid cylinders of rock. Only 3 rocks were destroyed, others were pushed off course and thereby did more harm than if not fired at all. New York was tough. Dallas turned out to be very tough. Perhaps the difference lay in local control of interception, for it seemed unlikely the command post in Cheyenne Mountain was still effective. Perhaps we had not cracked a hole in the ground. Don't know how deep down it was, but I'll bet that neither men nor computers were still tracking. Dallas blew up, or pushed aside first 5 rocks, so I told Mike to take everything he could from Cheyenne Mountain and award it to Dallas, which he was able to do 2 salvos later. Those targets are less than 1,000 kilometers apart. Dallas's defenses cracked on next salvo. Mike gave their spaceport 3 more, already committed, then shifted back to Cheyenne Mountain. Later ones had never been nudged, and were still earmarked Cheyenne Mountain. He was still giving that battered mountain cosmic love pets when America rolled down and under Terra's eastern edge. I stayed with Mike all during bombardment, knowing it would be our toughest. As he shut down till time to test the great China, Mike said thoughtfully, "Man, I don't think we had better hit that mountain again." "Why not, Mike?" "It's not there any longer."
I am pleased to see you again.
You might divert its backups.
Me to hold you.
When do you have to decide?
The blessing is still a
I would put them on Albuquerque and Omaha, but I'd best start now. Tomorrow will be busy. Then, my best friend, you should leave. Board with me, pal.
now.
In the next few hours, that first ship may launch missiles. When that happens, I want to shift all ballistic control to little David's sling. And when I do, you should be at Mari and Darm's side. What's fretting you, Mike? That bully is accurate, man, but he's stupid. I want him supervised. Decisions may have to be made in a hurry, and there isn't anyone there who can program him properly. You should be there.
I was known.
Okay, if you say so, Mike. But it needs a fast program. We'll still have to phone you. British shortcoming of computers isn't computer shortcoming at all. But fucking a human takes a long time, maybe hours to set up a program that a computer solves in milliseconds.
Exalted noble.
One best quality of Mike was that he could program himself, fast.
Life
Just explain problem. Let him program.
is the
Same wise and equally, he could program idiot son enormously faster than human could.
new life. I was a
But man, I want you there because you may not be able to phone me. The lines may be cut. So I prepared a group of possible programs for Junior. They may be helpful.
So please.
Okay, print them out, and let me talk to Proof. Mike got Proof. I made sure he was private and explained what Mike thought I should do. Thought Proof would object. Was hoping he would insist I stay through coming bombardment, invasion, whatever. Those ships. Instead he said, "Manuel, it's essential that you go. I've hesitated to tell you. Did you discuss odds with Mike?" "Yet. I have continued to do so. To put it bluntly, if Luna City is destroyed, and I am dead and the rest of the government is dead, even if all Mike's radar eyes here are blinded and he himself is cut off from the new catapult, all of which may happen under severe bombardment. Even if all this happens at once, Mike still gives Luna even chances if little David's sling can operate, and you are there to operate it." I said, "Da, boss. Yasa masa. You and Mike are stinkers and want to have fun. Will do." "Very good, Manuel." Stayed with Mike another hour while he printed out meter after meter of programs tailored to other computer. Work that would have taken me 6 months, even if able to think of all possibilities. Mike had it indexed and cross-referenced, with horribles in it I had hardly dare mention. Mean to say, given circumstances and seemed necessary to destroy, say, Paris, this told how, what missiles in what orbits, how to tell Junior to find them and bring them to target, or anything. Was reading this endless document, not programs but descriptions of purpose of program that headed each, when Weil found. "Manny dear, has Gruff told you about going to Marian Darren?" "Yes, was going to call you." "Alright, I'll pack first and meet you at Station East. When can you be there?" "Pack for us. You're going?" Didn't Proof say?
Anything else?
No. Suddenly felt cheerful. I felt guilty about it, dear. I wanted to go with you, but had no excuse. After all, I know you surround a computer, and I do have responsibilities here. Or did. But now I've been fired from all my jobs, and so have you. You are no longer a defense minister. Finn is. Instead, you are deputy prime minister. Well, and deputy minister of defense, too. I'm already deputy speaker, and Stu has been appointed deputy secretary of state and foreign affairs. So he goes with us, too. I'm confused. It's not as sudden as it sounds. Prof and Mike worked it out months ago. Decentralization, dear. The same thing that McIntyre has been working on for the Warrens. If there is a disaster at El City, Luna Free State still has a government. As Proof put it to me, why, oh dear lady, as long as you three and a few congressmen are left alive, all is not lost. You can still negotiate on equal terms and never admit your wounds. So I wound up as a computer mechanic. Stu and Weil met me with luggage, including the rest of my arms, and we threaded through endless, unpressured tunnels in pea suits on a small, flatbed Rolligan, used to haul steel to site. Greg-head Big Rolligan meet us for surface stretch, then met us himself when we went on the ground again. So, I missed attack on ballistic radars Saturday night. 28. Captain of first ship, FNS Esperance, had gets. Late Saturday he changed course, headed straight in. Apparently figured we might attempt jingle-jangle with radars. For he seems to have decided to come in close enough to see our radar installations by ship's radar, rather than rely on letting his missiles home in on our beams. Seems to have considered himself, ship, and crew expendable. Well, he was down to 1,000 kilometers before he launched. A spread that went straight for 5 out of 6 of Mike's radars, ignoring random jingle-jangle. Mike, expecting himself soon to be blinded, brought his boys loose to burn ship's eyes. Held them on it for 3 seconds before he shifted them to missiles. Result: 1 crashed cruiser, 2 ballistic radars knocked out by H missiles, 3 missiles killed, and 2 gun crews killed. 1 by H explosion, other by dead missile that landed square on them. Plus 13 gunners with radiation burns above 800 Roentgen, death level. Partly from flesh, partly from being on surface too long. And must add, 4 members of Lacey's Strata Corps died with those crews. They elected to pea suit and go up with their men. Other girls had serious radiation exposure, but not up to 800 R level. Second cruiser continued an elliptical orbit around and behind Luna. Then most of this from Mike after we arrived at Little David's Sling early Sunday. He was feeling groused over loss of 2 of his eyes, and still more groused over gun crews. I think Mike was developing something like human conscience. He seemed to feel it was his fault that he had not been able to outfight 6 targets at once. I pointed out that what he had to fight with was improvised, limited range, not real weapons. How about self, Mike? You alright? In all essentials, I have outlying discontinuities. 1 live missile chopped my circuits to Novi Leningrad, but reports routed through Luna City inform me that local controls tripped in satisfactorily, with no loss in city surfaces. I feel frustrated by these discontinuities, but they can be dealt with later.
Back already. No matter.
Mike, you sound tired. Me, tired? Ridiculous. Man, you forgot what I am. I'm annoyed, that's all. When will that second ship be back in sight? In about 3 hours, if he were to hold earlier orbit. But he will not. Probability in excess of 90%. I expect him in about an hour. And get us in orbit, huh? Oh-ho. He left my side at Azimuth, and course east 32 north. Does that suggest anything, man? Try to visualize. Suggest they're going to land and try to capture you, Mike. Have you told Finn? Have you told Proof to warn Finn? Professor knows, but that is not the way I analyze it. So, well, suggest I'd better shut up and let you work. Did so. Well, North fixed me breakfast while I inspected Junior, and I'm ashamed to say could not manage to grieve over losses with both Weil and Lenore present. Mom sent Lenore out to cook for Greg after Milla's death. Just an excuse. We're enough wives at site to provide home cooking for everybody. Was for Greg's morale, and Lenore's, too. Lenore and Milla had been close. Junior seemed to be right. He was working on South America, one lot at a time. I stayed in radar room and watched, at extreme magnification, while he placed one in estuary between Montevideo and Buenos Aires. Mike could not have been more accurate. I then checked his program for North America, found not to criticize, logged it in, and took key. Junior was on his own, unless Mike got clear of other troubles and decided to take back control. Then started trying to listen to news both from Earthside and L City. Coax cable from L City carried phones. Mike's hook up to his idiot child, radio and video. Site was no longer isolated, but besides cable from L City, sighted antennas pointed at Terra. Any Earthside news complex could pick up. We could listen to directly. Nor was this silly extra. Radio and video from Terra had been only recreation during construction, and this was now a standby in case that one cable was broken. An official satellite relay was claiming that Luna's ballistic radars had been destroyed, and that we were now helpless. Wonder what people of Buenos Aires and Montevideo thought about that. Probably too busy to listen. In some ways, watersheds were worse than those where we could find open land. Luna City Lunatics video channel was carrying Shini telling Looney's outcome of attack by Esperance, repeating news while warning everybody that battle is not over. A warship will be back in our sky any moment. Be ready for anything. Everybody stay in pea suits. Shini was wearing his with helmet open. Take maximum pressure precautions. All units stay on red alert. All citizens not otherwise called by duty strongly urged to seek lowest level and stay there till all clear, and so forth. He went through this several times, then suddenly broke in. A flash. Enemy cruiser radar sighted, low and fast. It made Idaho for Luna City. Flash missiles launched, headed for ejection, end of. Picture and sound shut off. Might as well tell now what we at Little David Sling learned later. Second cruiser, by coming in low and fast, tightest orbit Luna's field permits, was able to start its bombing at ejection end of Old Catapult, 100 kilometers from Catapult Head and Brody's gunners, and knocked many rings out in minute it took him to come into sight and range of drill guns, all clustered around radars at Catapult Head. Guess he felt safe. Wasn't. Brody's boys burned eyes out and ears off. He made one orbit after that and crashed near Torricelli. Apparently an attempt to land for his jets fired just before crash. But our next news at news site was from Earthside. That brassy FN frequency claimed that our catapult had been destroyed. True, and that lunar menace was ended. False. It called on all loonies to take prisoner their false leaders and surrender themselves to mercy of federated nations. Non-existent. Mercy, that is. Listened to it, and checked programming again, and went inside dark radar room. If everything went as planned, we were about to lay another egg in Hudson River, then targets in succession for 3 hours across the continent. In succession, because Junior could not handle simultaneous hits. Mike had planned accordingly. Hudson River was hit on schedule. Wonder how many New Yorkers were listening to FM newscast while looking at spot that gave it lie. 2 hours later, FM station was saying that lunar rebels had had missiles in orbit when Catapult was destroyed, but that after those few had impacted, would be no more. When third bombing of North America was complete, a shutdown radar had not been running steadily. Junior was programmed to sneak looks only as necessary, a few seconds at a time. I then had 9 hours before next bombing of Great China. But not 9 hours for most urgent decision, whether to hit Great China again. Without information, except from Terra's news channels, which might be false, bloody, without knowing whether or not Warrens had been bombed, or proof was dead or alive, double bloody. Was I now acting Prime Minister? Needed proof. Head of state wasn't my glass of shit. Above all, needed Mike to calculate facts, estimate uncertainties, project probabilities of this course or that. My word, didn't even know whether ships were headed toward us, and worse yet, was afraid to look. It turned radar on and used Junior for sky search. Any warship he brushed with beams would see him quicker than he saw them. Warships were built to spot radar surveillance. So it heard. Hell, was no military man, was computer technician who had bumbled into the wrong field. Somebody buzzed the door. I got up and unlocked. Was Lyle with coffee. Didn't say a word, just handed it to me and went away. Sipped it. There it is, boy. They're leaving you alone, waiting for you to pull miracles out of pouch. Didn't feel up to it. From somewhere back in my youth, heard Proof say, Manuel, when faced with a problem you do not understand, do any part of it you do understand, then look at it again. He had been teaching me something he himself did not understand very well, something in maths, but it taught me something far more important, a basic principle. Knew at once what to do first. Went over to Junior and had him print out predicted impacts of all loads in orbit. Easy was a pre-program he could run any time against real-time running. While he was doing it, I looked for certain alternate programs in that long roll Mike had prepared. Then set up some of those alternate programs. No trouble. Simply had to be careful to read them correctly and punch them in without error. Made Junior print back for check before I gave him signal to execute. When finished, 40 minutes. Every load and trajectory intended for an inland target had been retargeted for a seacoast city, with hedge to my bet that execution was delayed for rocks farther back. But unless I cancelled, Junior would reposition them as soon as need be. Now horrible pressure of time was off me. Now could abort any load into ocean right at the last few minutes before impact. Now could think. So did. Then called in my war cabinet. Lyle, Stu, and Greg, my commander of armed forces, using Greg's office. Lenore was allowed to go in and out, fetching coffee and food, or sitting and saying nothing. Lenore is a sensible femme and knows when to keep quiet. Stu started it. Yeah, Mr. Prime Minister, I do not think that Gretchen should be hit this time. Never mind fancy titles, Stu. Maybe I'm acting, maybe not. But haven't time for formality. Well, very well. May I explain my proposal? Later. I explained what I had done to give us more time. He nodded and kept quiet. Our tightest squeeze is that we are out of communication, both Luna City and Earthside. Greg, how about the repair crew? Not back yet. If Greg is near Luna City, then they've been gone a long time. If can repair at all, so must assume we'll have to act on our own. Greg, do you have an electronics tech who can jury-rig a radio that will let us talk to Earthside? To their satellites, I mean. That doesn't take much with right antenna. I may be able to help, and the computer tech I sent you isn't too clumsy either. Quite good, in fact, for ordinary electronics. A poor bloke I had once falsely accused of allowing a fly to get into Mike's guts. I placed him in this job. Harry Biggs, my power plant boss, can do anything of that sort. Greg said thoughtfully. If he has the gear, get him on it. You can vandalize anything but radar and computer once we get all loads out of catapult. How many lined up? 23, and no more steel. So, 23 it is, win or lose. I want them ready for loading. Might lob them off today. They're ready. We can load as fast as a cat can throw them. Good. One more thing. Don't know whether there's an FM cruiser, maybe more than one, in our sky or not. I'm afraid to look. By radar, I mean. Radar for Skywatch could give away our position. But must have Skywatch. Can you get volunteers for an eyeball Skywatch? And can you spare them? Lenore spoke up. I volunteer. Thanks, honey. You're accepted. We'll find him, said Greg. Won't need fans. Let her do it, Greg. This is everybody's show. Explained what I wanted. Marion Durham was now in dark semilunar. Sun had set. Invisible boundary between sunlight and Luna's shadow stretched over us, a precise locus. Ships passing through our sky would wink suddenly into view going west, blink out going east. Visible part of orbit would stretch from horizon to some point in sky. If eyeball team could spot both points, mark one by bearing, other by stars, and approximate time by counting seconds, Junior could start guessing orbit. 2 passes and Junior would know its period and something about shape of orbit. Then I would have some notion of when it would be safe to use radar and radio and catapult. Did not want to lose a load with FN ship above horizon. Could be radar looking our way. Perhaps Perhaps too cautious, but had to assume that this catapult, this one radar, these 24 missiles, were all that stood between Luna and total defeat. And our bluff hinged on them, never knowing what we had or where it was. We had to appear endlessly able to pound Terra with missiles from source they had not suspected and could never find. Then as now, most Loonies knew nothing about astronomy or cave dwellers, go to surface only when necessary. But we were lucky. Was amateur astronomer in Greg's crew, Clobber who had worked at Richardson. I explained, put him in charge, let him worry about teaching eyeball crew how to tell stars apart. I got these things started before we went back to Talk. Well, Stu, why shouldn't we hit Great China? I'm still expecting a word from Dr. Chen. I received one message from him, found her shortly before we were cut off from cities. No word, why didn't you tell me? I tried to, but you had yourself locked in, and I know better than to bother you when you're busy with ballistics. Here's the translation. Usual Luno company address with a reference, which means it's for me, and that it has come through my Paris agent. Our Darwin sales representative, that's Chen, informs us that your shipments have, never mind the cutting. He means the attack days, while appearing to refer to last June, were improperly packaged, resulting in unacceptable damage. At least this can be corrected. Negotiations for long-term contract will be seriously jeopardized. Stu looked up. All double talk. I take it to mean that Dr. Tran feels that he has his government ready to talk terms, but that we should let up on bombing Great China or we may upset his apple cart. Get up and looked around. Asked Wyle's opinion. Nobody knew Wyle's virtues better than I, but she oscillated between fierceness and too human compassion. And I had learned already that a head of state, even an acting one, must have another. Ask Greg. Greg was a good farmer, a better mechanic, a rousing preacher. I loved him dearly, but did not want his opinion. Stu, I had his opinion. Or did I? Stu, what's your opinion? Not Chen's opinion, but your own. Stu looked thoughtful. It's difficult, money. I have no Chinese. I have not spent much time in Great China, and can't claim to be an expert in their politics, nor their psychology, so I'm forced to depend on his opinion. Damn it, he's not a loony. His purposes are not our purposes. What does he expect to get out of it? I think he is maneuvering for monopoly over lunar trade. Perhaps bases here too. Possibly an extraterritorial enclave. Not that we would grant that. Might, if we were hurting. He didn't say any of this. He doesn't say much, you know. He listens. Too well, I know. Worried at it. More bothered each minute. News from Earthside had been droning in background. I asked Wyle to monitor while I was busy with Greg. Wyle, hon, anything new from Earthside? No, the same claims. We've been utterly defeated and our surrender is expected momentarily. Oh, there's a warning that some missiles are still in space, falling out of control, but with a reassurance that the paths are being analyzed and people will be warned in time to avoid impact areas. Anything to suggest that proof for anybody in Luna City, or anywhere in Luna, is in touch with our side? Nothing at all. Damn. Anything from Great China? No. Comments from almost everywhere else, but not from Great China. Step to the door. Greg. Hey, Cobber, see if you can find Greg Davis. I need him. Closed door. Stu, we're not going to let Great China off. So? No. Would be nice if Great China busted alliance against us. Might save us some damage. But we've got this far only by appearing able to hit them at will and to destroy any ship they send against us. At least I hope. That last one was burned and we've certainly covered 8 out of 9. We won't get anywhere by looking weak. Now Bolefin is claiming that we are not just weak but finished. Instead, we must hand them surprises. Start with Great China, and if it makes Dr. Chen unhappy, we'll give him a kerchief to weep into. If we can go on looking strong, when defenses were licked, then eventually some veto power is going to crack. If not Great China, then some other one. Stood out without getting up. Very well, sir. Greg came in. You want me, Manny? What next with our side sender? Harry says you have it by tomorrow. A crummy rig, he says, but push watts through it, and we'll be heard. Power we get. If he says tomorrow, then he knows what he wants to build. So will be today, say 6 hours. I'll work under him. While on, will you get my arms? Want number 6 and number 3. Better bring number 5 too. And you stick with me and change arms for me. Stu want you to write some nasty messages. I'll give you a general idea, and you put acid in them. Greg, we are not going to get all those rocks into space at once. Ones we have in space now will impact in next 18, 19 hours. Then, when FN is announcing that all rocks are accounted for and Lunar Menace is over, we crash into their newscast and warn of next bombings. Shortest possible orbits, Greg. 10 hours or less. So check everything on catapult and H-plant and controls. With that extra boost, all has to be dead on. While I was back with arms, I told her number 6 and added, Greg, let me talk with Harry. 6 hours later, Sender was ready to beam toward Terra. Was an ugly job. Vandalized mainly out of a resonance prospector used in project's early stages. But could ride an audio signal on its radio frequency and was powerful. Stu's massified versions of my warnings had been taped, and Harry was ready to zip-squeal them. All Terran satellites could accept high speed at 60 to 1, and had no wish to have our sender heated more seconds than necessary. I Bulwatcher confirmed fears. At least 2 ships were in orbit around Luna. So we told Great China that our major coastal cities would each receive a lunar present offset 10 kilometers into ocean. Busan, Tsingtao, Taipei, Shanghai, Saigon, Bangkok, Singapore, Jakarta, Darwin, and so forth. Except that old Hong Kong would get one smack on top of FN's Far East offices. So, kindly have all human beings move far back. Still know that human beings did not mean FN personnel. They were urged to stay at desks. India was given similar warnings about coastal cities, and was told that FN global offices would be spared one more rotation out of respect for cultural monuments in Agra, and to permit human beings to evacuate. I intended to extend this by another rotation as deadline approached, out of respect for proof. And then another, indefinitely. Damn it, they would build their home offices next door to the most over-decorated tomb ever built, huh? But one that proved treasured. The rest of the world was told to keep their seats. Game was going extra innings, but stay away from any FN offices anywhere. We were frothing at mouth, and no FN office was safe. Better yet, get out of any city containing an FN headquarters. But FN VIPs and Finks were urged to sit tight. Then spent the next 20 hours coaching Junior into sneaking his radar peaks when our sky was clear of ships, or believed to be. Napped when I could, and Lenore stayed with me, and woke me in time for next coaching. And that ended Mike's rocks, and we all went into alert. Well, we got first of Junior's rocks flung high and fast. Waited until certain it had gone hot and true. Then told Terra where to look for it, and where and when to expect it, so that all would know that FN's claims of victory were on a par with their century of lies about Luna. All in Stu's best, snotty, supercilious phrases delivered in his cultured accents. First one should have been for Great China, but was one piece of North American directorate we could reach with it. Our proudest jewel, Hawaii. Junior placed it in triangle formed by Maui, Molokai, and Lanai. I didn't work out programming. Mike had anticipated everything. Then pronto we got out 10 more rocks at short intervals. Had to skip one program, a ship in our sky, and told Great China where to look and when to expect them and where. Coastal cities we had neglected day before. Was down to 12 rocks, but decided it was safer to run out of ammunition than to look as if we were running out. So I ordered 7 to Indian coastal cities, picking new targets. And Stu inquired sweetly if Agra had been evacuated. If not, please tell us at once. But heaved no rock at it. Egypt was told to clear shipping out of Suez Canal. Bluff was ordering last 5 rocks. Then, waited. Impacted Lahaina roads. The target in Hawaii. Looked good if high mag. Mike could be proud of Junior. And waited. 37 minutes before first China Coast impact, Great China denounced actions of FN. Recognized us, offered to negotiate, and I sprained a finger punching abort buttons. Then was punching buttons with sore finger. India stumbled over feet following suit. Egypt recognized us. Other nations started scrambling for door. Stu informed Terra that we had only suspended, not stopped, bombardments. Now get those ships out of our sky at once. Now, and we could talk. If they could not get home without refilling tanks, let them land not less than 50 kilometers from any map warren, then wait for their surrender to be accepted. But clear our sky now. This ultimatum we delayed a few minutes to let a ship pass beyond the horizon. We weren't taking chances. One missile, and Luna would have been helpless. And waited. Cable crew returned. They'd gone almost to Luna City, found break. But thousands of tons of loose rock impeded repair. So they had done what they could. Gone back to a spot where they could get through to surface. Erected a temporary relay in the direction they thought Luna City lay. Sent up a dozen rockets at 10-minute intervals, and hoped that somebody would see, understand, aim a relay at it. Any communication? No. Waited. Eyeball Squad reported that a ship, which had been clocked faithful for 19 passes, had failed to show. 10 minutes later, they reported that another ship had missed expected appearance. We waited and listened. Great Shannon, speaking on behalf of all veto powers, accepted armistice and stated that our sky was now clear. Lenore burst into tears and kissed everybody she could reach. After we studied down, a man can't think when women are grabbing him, especially when 5 of them are not his wives. A few minutes later, when we were all coherent, I said, Stu, want you to leave for Luna City at once. Pick your party, no women. You'll have to walk surface last kilometers. Find out what's going on. But first get them to aim a relay at ours and phone me. Very good, sir. We were getting him outfitted for a tough journey. Extra air bottles, emergency shelter, so forth. When Earthside called me on frequency we were listening to because message was, learned later, on all frequencies up from Earthside. Private message. Proof demanding. Identification. Birthday Bastille and Sherlock's sibling. Come home at once. Your carriage waits at your new relay. Private message. Proof to. And went on repeating. Harry. Da boss. Message Earthside. Tape and squeal. We still don't want them ranging us. Private message. Manity proof. Brass cannon. On my way. Ask them to acknowledge, but use only one squeal. 29. Stu and Greg drove on way back, while Lyle and Lenore and I huddled on open flatbed, strapped to keep from falling off. It was too small. Had time to think. Neither girl had suit radio, and we could talk only by helmet touch. Awkward. Began to see, now that we had won, parts of Proof's plan that had never been clear to me. Inviting attack against Catapult had spared Warrens. Hoped it had. That was planned, but Proof had always been cheerfully indifferent to damage to Catapult. Sure, had a second one, but far away and difficult to reach. Would take years to put a tube system to new Catapult. High mountains all way. Probably cheaper to repair old one, if possible. Either way, no grain shipment to Terra in meantime. And that was just what Proof wanted. Yet never once had he hinted that his plan was based on destroying all Catapult. His long-range plan, not just revolution. He might not admit it now, but Mike would tell me, if put to him flatly. Was or was not this one factor in odds? Food right predictions and all that, Mike. Would he tell me? That ton-for-ton deal, Proof had expounded at Earthside, had been argument for a Terran catapult. But privately, he had no enthusiasm for it. Once he had told me, in North America, yes, Manuel, I feel sure it would work. But if built, it would be temporary. There was a time, 2 centuries ago, when dirty laundry used to be shipped from California to Hawaii. By sailing ship, mind you, and clean laundry returned. Special circumstances. If we ever see water and manure shipped to Luna, and grain shipped back, it will be just as temporary. Luna's future lies in her unique position at the top of a gravity well over a rich planet, and in her cheap power and plentiful real estate. If we loonies have sense enough in the centuries ahead to remain a free port and to stay out of entangling alliances, we will become the crossroads for 3 planets, the entire solar system. We won't be farmers forever. They met us at Station East, and hardly gave time to get pea suits off. Was returned from Earthside over again, screaming moms and being ridden on shoulders. Even girls, for Slim Lemke, said to Lenore, "May we carry you too?" And Lyle answered, "Sure, why not?" And so Yagi fought for chance too. Most men were pressure suited, and I was surprised to see how many carried guns, until I saw that they were not our guns, they were captured. But most of all was blessed relief to see El City unhurt. Could have done without triumphal procession. Was itching to get the phone to find out from Mike what had happened. How much damage, how many killed. What his victory cost. But no chance. We were carried to Old Dome willy-nilly. They shoved us up on the platform with proof and arrest of cabinet and hips and such. And our girl slobbered on proof, and he embraced me Latin style. Kiss cheek, and somebody stuck a Liberty cap on me. Spotted little Hazel in crowd, and threw her a kiss. At last they quieted enough for proof to speak. "My friends," he said, and waited for silence. "My friends," he repeated softly. "Beloved comrades. We meet at last in freedom, and now have with us the heroes who fought the last battle for Luna, alone." They cheered us. Again he waited. Could see he was tired. Hands trembled as he stood himself against pulpit. "I want them to speak to you. We want to hear about it. All of us. But first, I have a happy message. Great China has just announced that she is building in the Himalayas an enormous catapult to make shipping to Luna as easy and cheap as it has been to ship from Luna to Terra." He stopped for cheers, then went on. "But that lies in the future. Today, oh, happy day. At last the world acknowledges Luna's sovereignty. Free. You have won your freedom." Brooke stopped, looked surprised, not afraid but puzzled, swayed slightly. Then, he did die. 30, the last chapter. We got him into a shop behind platform, but even with help of a dozen doctors was no use. Old heart was gone, strained too many times. They carried him out back way, and I started to follow. Stu touched my arm. Mr. Prime Minister." I sit down. "Oh, for God's sake." Mr. Prime Minister," he repeated firmly. "You must speak to the crowd. Send them home. And there are things that must be done." He spoke calmly, but tears poured down cheeks. So, I got back on platform and confirmed what they had guessed, and told them to go home, and wound up in room L of Raffles, where all had started. Emergency cabinet meeting. But first ducked the phone, lowered hood, punched Mycroft XXX. Got null number signal. Tried again. Same. Pushed up hood, and said to the man nearest me, "Wolfgang, aren't phones working?" "Depends," he said. "That bombing yesterday shook things up. If you want an out-of-town number, better call the phone office." Could see self-asking office to get me a no. "What bombing?" "Haven't you heard? It was concentrated on the complex, but Brody's boys got the ship. No real damage. Nothing that can't be fixed." Had to drop it. They were waiting. I didn't know what to do, but Stu and Krasakov did. Sheeny was told to write news releases for Terra and rest of Luna. I found self-announcing a lunar of morning. 24 hours of quiet. No unnecessary business. Getting orders from body to lie in state. All words put in the mouth. I was numb. Brain would not work. Okay, convene Congress at the end of 24 hours. In Dublin. Okay. Sheeny had dispatches from outside. Wolfgang wrote for me something which said that because of death of our president, answers would be delayed at least 24 hours. At last was able to get away with a while. I still Yagi kept people away from us to easement log 13. Once home, I ducked in the workshop on pretense of needing to change arms. Mike. No answer. So tried punching his combo into house phone. Null signal. Resolved to go out to complex next day. With proof gone, needed Mike worse than ever. The next day was not able to go. Transcription tube was out. That last morning. You could go around through Torricelli and Novelin, and eventually reach Hong Kong. The complex almost next door could be reached only by rolling in. Couldn't take time. I was government. Managed to shrug that off 2 days later. My resolution was decided that Speaker Finn had succeeded to presidency after Finn and I had decided that Wolfgang was best choice for Prime Minister. We put it through, and I went back to being congressman, who didn't attend sessions. By then most phones were working, and complex could be called. Punched Mycroft XXX. No answer. So, went out by rolling in. Had to go down and walk through the last kilometer. The complex under didn't seem hurt. Nor did Mike appear to be. But when I spoke to him, he didn't answer. He has never answered. It's been many years now. You can type questions into him in Loglin, and you'll get Loglin answers out. He works just fine as a computer, but won't talk or can't. Lyle tried to coax him, then she stopped. Eventually, I stopped. Don't know how it happened. Many outlying pieces of him got chopped off in last bombing. Was meant, I'm sure, to kill our ballistic computer. Did he fall below that critical number it takes to sustain self-awareness? If he such, was ever more than hypothesis? Or did decentralizing that was done before that last bombing killing? I don't know. If it was just a matter of critical number, well, he's long been repaired. He must be back up to it. Why doesn't he wake up? Can a machine be so frightened and hurt that it will go into catatonia and refuse to respond? Well, ego crouches inside, aware but never willing to risk it. No, can't be that. Mike was unafraid, as gaily unafraid as proof. Years. Changes. Maybe long ago opted out of family management. Anna is mom now and Amy dreams by video. Slim got Hazel to change name to Stone. 2 kids, and she studied engineering. All those new free fall drugs. And nowadays Earthworms stay 3 or 4 years and go home unchanged. And those other drugs that do almost as much for us. Some kids go outside the school now. And the bad catapult. Took 17 years instead of 10. Kilimanjaro job was finished sooner. One mild surprise. When time came, Lenore named Stu for opting, rather than Weil. Made no difference, we all voted that. One thing not a surprise because Weil and I pushed it through. During time we still amounted to something in government. A brass cannon on a pedestal, in middle a whole dome, and over it a flag fluttering in blower breeze. Black field speckled with stars, bar sinister in blood. A proud and jaunty brass cannon embroidered over all, and below it, our motto, Time Shuffle. That's where we hold our 4th of July celebrations. You get only what you pay for. Proof new and paid, gaily. But Proof underrated yammerheads. They never adopted any of his ideas. Seems to be a deep instinct in human beings for making everything compulsory that isn't forbidden. Proof got fascinated by possibilities for shaping future that lay in a big smart computer, and lost track of things closer to home. Oh, I backed him, but now I wonder, are food rights too high a price to pay to let people be? I don't know. Don't know any answers. I wish I could ask Mike. I wake up at night, and I think I've heard him, just a whisper. Man, my best friend. But when I say Mike, he doesn't answer. Is he wandering around somewhere, looking for hardware to hook onto? Or is he buried down in complex under, trying to find way out? The special memories are all in there somewhere, waiting to be stirred. But I can't retrieve them. They were voice-coded. He's dead as proof, I know it. But how dead is proof? If I punched it just once more and said, "Hi Mike," would he answer? "Hi man, heard any good ones lately?" Been a long time. I'm since I rested. But he can't really be dead. Nothing was hurt. He's just, lost. You listening, Bug? Is a computer one of your creatures? Too many changes. May go to that talk tonight and toss in some random numbers. Or not. Since Bloom started, quite a few young cobbers have gone out to asteroids. Hear about some nice places out there. Not too crowded. My word. I'm not even 100 yet. This concludes the reading of The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert Heinlein. Copyright 1965 by Robert Heinlein. This unabridged recording of the reading of The Moon is a Harsh Mistress was published by arrangement with Spectrum Literary Agency and was produced in 1999 by Blackstone Audiobooks Incorporated, which holds the copyright.